Simpler. What if the only difference between the person who wins and the person who quits is just one more round? What if success is not about talent, not about luck, but about who refuses to stay down? Today, I want to talk to the person who is tired, but not finished. Talent may open the first door for you. It may bring applause in the beginning. It may make things look easy while others struggle. But talent alone has never carried anyone to the summit of their destiny. Simpler. Because life does not test how gifted you are, it tests how long you can endure. There are moments when talent shines in the spotlight, but persistence is built in the dark. It is built when no one claps, when no one notices, when progress feels painfully slow. Talent can impress people. Persistence impresses God. In sacred scripture, we are reminded that patience and steadfastness are beloved qualities. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes sabor, endurance through hardship, promising that those who remain patient are never alone in their struggle. Because when you persist, when you refuse to surrender despite exhaustion, you are walking a path of spiritual strength. You are aligning yourself with divine resilience. Talent may help you run fast. Persistence helps you keep running when your legs burn and your lungs ache. There will be days when your abilities seem insufficient. Simpler. Days when you feel overlooked. Days when someone more naturally gifted appears to move ahead of you. And in those moments, your heart will whisper, maybe I am not enough. That whisper is the battlefield. Because the real victory is not over competition, it is over doubt. The farmer who plants a seed does not dig it up every day to check if it's growing. He trusts the unseen process. In the same way, your persistence is an act of faith. You keep showing up even when results are invisible. Simpler. You keep praying even when answers seem delayed. You keep working even when recognition is absent. And that kind of endurance transforms you. Emotion will tell you to stop. Fatigue will tell you to rest permanently. Fear will tell you to shrink your dreams. But faith says continue. Remember the stories of prophets and righteous people who endured trials far beyond comfort, not because they lacked pain, but because they possessed perseverance. Simpler. Their strength was not in ease, but in endurance. Your tears are not signs of weakness. Your struggle is not a sign of failure. It is the refining fire. Gold is purified through intense heat. Diamonds are formed under crushing pressure, and character is forged in persistence. There is something powerful about the person who wakes up discouraged and still tries, about the person who feels defeated and still stands, about the person who has been delayed but refuses to be denied. Simpler. That person becomes unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because quitting is no longer an option. Skill might give you attention, but endurance earns respect. And the one who sees your hidden effort, your silent prayers, your late-night struggles, he records every step. Nothing is wasted. No sincere effort disappears. So when you feel outmatched, remember this. The race is not always won by the swiftest, but by the one who remains on the track when others walk away. When you persist, you grow deeper roots. When you persist, your faith strengthens. When you persist, your character expands beyond comfort. And one day, when the finish line appears, it will not be talent that carried you there. It will be the countless moments you chose to continue when stopping felt easier. No one prays for pain. No one wakes up asking for struggle. Yet every person who has ever risen above average has walked through it. Pain is not a punishment. It is a process. Simpler. We live in a world that advertises comfort as success, easy routes, quick rewards, instant gratification. But comfort has never shaped champions. Comfort never strengthened faith. Comfort never built character. Pressure does. A seed must be buried under dark soil before it rises toward the sun. A muscle must tear before it grows stronger. Coal must endure intense heat before it becomes a diamond. Why should your life be different? Growth requires stretching beyond what feels safe. Simpler. And stretching is uncomfortable. It challenges your ego. It tests your patience. It exposes your weaknesses, but it also reveals your strength. There is a spiritual truth in this. Trials refine the believer. In the Quran, it is reminded that hardship is followed by ease, not instead of it, but after it. The difficulty is not random, it is purposeful. Every pressure carries preparation within it. When you feel squeezed by circumstances, understand this: something inside you is being developed. Pain humbles you. Pain teaches you. Pain redirects you. There are lessons you will only learn when life shakes you. There are prayers you will only pray when you feel desperate. There is reliance on God that only emerges when your own strength fails. And that is not weakness, that is transformation. Comfort keeps you asleep. Pressure wakes you up. Comfort keeps you average. Pressure demands growth. Think about the moments that changed you. It was not the easy days. It was the heartbreak, the rejection, the failure, the disappointment that forced you to reevaluate who you are. Pain strips away illusions. It shows you what truly matters. It separates desire from discipline. Emotionally, pain feels heavy. It feels unfair. It feels lonely. There will be nights when your heart feels tired, when your tears fall quietly, when you question why the road feels harder for you. But those very moments are building spiritual depth. The prophet's life was filled with trials, loss, rejection, hardship, yet those trials elevated his character and strengthened his mission. History does not remember comfort. It remembers endurance. Greatness is born in resistance. When you lift something heavy, your muscles shake. That shaking is not weakness, it is growth in motion. The same is true for your life. When your voice trembles, but you speak anyway. When your heart aches, but you continue anyway. When your path is steep, but you climb anyway. That is pressure shaping greatness. Pain forces you to decide, will you break or will you build? And every time you choose to rise instead of retreat, something inside you becomes stronger than before. Do not run from the pressure. Do not curse the process. What you are feeling today is not here to destroy you, it is here to develop you. Because comfort never created courage. Comfort never produced leaders. Comfort never built unshakable faith. Pressure did. And the version of you that emerges after the season will not look like the one who entered it, because pain, when embraced with faith and perseverance, transforms ordinary people into extraordinary souls. In the making, feelings are powerful. They rise fast. They fall faster. One day you feel motivated. The next day you feel tired. One moment you are confident. The next moment you are full of doubt. If your life is controlled by emotion, it will always be unstable. Emotion says, I don't feel like it today. Discipline says, do it anyway. Emotion is a wave. Discipline is an anchor. And if you want stability in your life, you must choose the anchor. There will be mornings when your body is heavy, nights when your mind is overwhelmed, moments when your heart feels discouraged. That is normal. You are human. But commitment was never built on comfort. The problem is not that we have emotions. The problem is when we let emotions make permanent decisions for temporary feelings. A person who only works when inspired will never build consistency. A person who only prays when they feel spiritual will never build deep faith. A person who only acts when excited will never achieve long-term success. Discipline is obedience to your higher purpose. In Islam, prayer is not based on mood. It is based on time and commitment. Whether you feel energetic or exhausted, you stand. Whether you feel strong or weak, you bow. That consistency builds spiritual strength. It teaches you that devotion is not emotional, it is intentional. That is discipline. Your feelings may say rest, but your goals say rise. Your feelings may say quit, but your destiny says continue. The battlefield is internal. You will not defeat your circumstances until you first defeat your impulses. Emotion seeks immediate relief. Discipline seeks long-term reward. Emotion avoids discomfort. Discipline embraces responsibility. There are days when motivation disappears completely. On those days, discipline must take control, because discipline does not ask how you feel, it reminds you who you are. When you honor your commitments despite your emotions, something powerful happens inside you. Your confidence increases. Your self-respect grows. You begin to trust yourself. And that trust is priceless. There is nothing more empowering than knowing you will show up no matter how you feel. That you will work even when tired. That you will stay consistent even when unnoticed. That you will remain focused even when distracted. Feelings are temporary visitors. Commitment must be a permanent resident. When storms come, emotion panics. Discipline prepares. When setbacks happen, emotion complains. Discipline adjusts. When others give up, emotion sympathizes. Discipline separates you from the crowd. And spiritually, discipline strengthens reliance on God. Because when you continue to act rightly, even when your heart feels weak, you are proving sincerity. You are proving that your faith is not based on excitement, but on conviction. Steadiness is rare, and rare qualities produce rare results. Do not let today's mood sabotage tomorrow's success. Do not let temporary discouragement erase permanent potential. Do not let emotion talk you out of your assignment. Stand firm. Act according to your commitments, not your comfort. Because in the end, it will not be how intensely you felt, it will be how consistently you acted that determines who you become. Failure feels heavy. It stings your pride. It shakes your confidence. It makes you question your ability. But failure is not your enemy. It is your instructor. Most people see failure as a final verdict, but in reality, it is simply information. It tells you what didn't work. It reveals where you miscalculated. It exposes weaknesses you could not see while everything was going smoothly. Success whispers. Failure speaks clearly. When you succeed, you celebrate. When you fail, you reflect, and reflection builds wisdom. Emotionally, failure can feel like rejection, like embarrassment, like standing alone while others move forward. Your heart may feel disappointed. Your mind may replay the mistake again and again. But listen carefully, a setback is not a sign to stop. It is a signal to adjust. Even spiritually, trials are not meaningless. In Islam, hardships are seen as purification and elevation. A believer is tested not to be broken, but to be strengthened. When something doesn't go your way, it may be protection. It may be redirection. It may be preparation. Sometimes what you call failure is divine correction. You missed the opportunity. You lost the deal. You didn't pass the test. You were rejected. But what if that moment was teaching you discipline, sharpening your skill, strengthening your patience? Failure forces you to think. It asks you, what can you improve? What must you change? What skill must you develop? Without failure, you would never analyze. Without analysis, you would never grow. A child falls many times before walking confidently. The fall is not failure, it is part of the learning process. Imagine if the child decided, walking isn't for me. Growth would stop immediately. In the same way, your mistakes are not proof that you are incapable. They are proof that you are trying. There is courage in attempting something that could fail. There is strength in standing back up after it does. Failure builds humility. It removes arrogance. It deepens gratitude when success finally comes. And emotionally, the pain you feel after a setback can either weaken you or refine you. That choice belongs to you. You can allow failure to define your identity, or you can allow it to develop your strategy. Great achievers are not those who avoided mistakes. They are those who learned quickly from them. Each loss contains a lesson. Each rejection contains redirection. Each disappointment contains development. When you fail, ask better questions. Not, why am I so unlucky? But what is this teaching me? Not, why does this always happen to me? But how can I grow from this? Failure is temporary information. Quitting makes it permanent. And remember this, Allah sees your effort even when results are delayed. Nothing sincere is wasted. Your struggle is recorded. Your patience is valued. Your perseverance is noticed. The setback you experience today may carry the blueprint for tomorrow's breakthrough if you are humble enough to study it and brave enough to try again. The easiest way to lose is to quit, not to fail, not to struggle, not to fall behind, but to walk away. You cannot win a race you step out of. You cannot build a dream you abandon. You cannot conquer a battle you refuse to fight. Life will test your endurance more than your ability. There will be moments when the pressure feels unbearable, moments when progress slows down, moments when it seems like everyone else is moving ahead while you are standing still. And in those moments, quitting will look attractive. It will whisper, this is too hard. It will suggest maybe this isn't for you. It will tempt you with comfort. But comfort has never written stories of greatness. The difference between those who succeed and those who disappear is not always talent. It is presence, the willingness to remain, the courage to stay in the arena when the fight becomes uncomfortable. Emotionally, staying in the game requires strength because disappointment hurts. Rejection bruises the ego, delays test patience. You may feel tired, you may feel unnoticed, you may even feel forgotten. But staying matters. In faith, we are reminded that perseverance through hardship is beloved. The Quran emphasizes steadfastness, istiqamah, remaining firm even when the path is difficult. Victory does not always come instantly. Sometimes it comes to those who endure long enough. When you stay committed despite uncertainty, you are practicing spiritual resilience. Think about it. The athlete who trains daily does not win every match. The entrepreneur does not profit every month. The student does not ace every exam, but they stay in the game because growth requires repetition. Skill requires time. Mastery requires patience. You cannot improve in a field you abandon. Every round you survive increases your experience. Every setback you endure increases your resilience. Every challenge you face strengthens your character, leaving early guarantees defeat. Staying gives you possibility. There will be days when your confidence drops, days when your effort seems invisible, days when doubt creeps into your mind and tells you that your dream is unrealistic. That is the moment that defines you, not when you are winning, but when you are tempted to withdraw. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to continue despite it. Remember, even prophets faced seasons where results were not immediate. They preached without visible success for years. They endured rejection, hardship, and isolation, yet they remained steadfast. And history honors their endurance, not the comfort they never had. Staying in the game builds depth. It builds discipline. It builds faith. It builds unshakable confidence. When others give up, the field becomes less crowded. Opportunities open for those who remain. Consistency alone can elevate you above more talented competitors who lack patience. You do not need to dominate every round. You simply need to survive it. You do not need to feel strong every day. You just need to show up. because the person who refuses to leave eventually gains the experience, the strength, and the wisdom that the quitter will never have the chance to develop. Most people underestimate small progress. They wait for big breakthroughs. They wait for dramatic results. They wait for overnight success. But greatness is not built in leaps. It is built in steps. Small wins may look insignificant to others, but to the person walking the journey, they are powerful. Because every small victory whispers to your mind, you are capable, and belief grows quietly. When you complete one task you said you would do, your confidence increases. When you wake up on time for 1 week straight, your discipline strengthens. When you pray consistently, even on difficult days, your faith deepens. These are not small things. They are foundations. Emotionally, progress builds hope. When you see evidence, even tiny evidence that you are moving forward, doubt begins to weaken. The voice that once said you can't slowly becomes quieter. Momentum is not created by intensity. It is created by consistency. Think of pushing a heavy object. At first, it barely moves. It feels frustrating. Your effort seems pointless. But once it starts moving even slightly, it becomes easier to keep it going. That first movement, that small shift changes everything. Spiritually, even small acts are valued. In Islam, it is taught that the most beloved deeds are those that are consistent, even if small. That means your steady effort matters, your daily improvement matters, your repeated obedience matters. Nothing sincere is wasted. When you take one step toward your goal, you build trust with yourself. When you take another, you reinforce that trust. And over time, trust becomes confidence. Small wins fight discouragement. They remind you that growth is happening even if slowly. You don't need to conquer the mountain today. You only need to climb a little higher than yesterday. The person who reads 10 pages a day finishes books. The person who saves small amounts builds wealth. The person who practices daily masters their craft. But emotionally, impatience tries to sabotage this process. It says this isn't enough. It says you should be further by now. It compares your beginning to someone else's middle. Do not let comparison steal your momentum. Progress is personal. Every small discipline strengthens your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who shows up, someone who moves forward even when it's slow. And belief is powerful. Once you believe you can improve, you start acting differently. You think differently. You carry yourself differently. Confidence compounds just like habits do. One small victory leads to another. One productive day leads to a productive week. One disciplined decision strengthens your self-control. Momentum does not shout. It builds quietly. And over time, those small steps create distance. Distance from who you used to be. Distance from doubt. Distance from weakness. You may not see dramatic change today, but if you keep collecting small wins, one day you will look back and realize how far you've come. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is proof that you are not standing still, and proof builds belief stronger than motivation ever could. The future does not reward the fastest. It rewards the faithful. It does not reward the loudest. It rewards the lasting. In the beginning, many people start strong. They are excited. They are motivated. They are full of energy. But excitement fades. Motivation fluctuates. Energy declines. And that is where endurance separates the committed from the casual. Endurance is quiet strength. It is waking up when you are tired. It is continuing when results are delayed. It is believing when evidence is limited. Emotionally, endurance is not glamorous. It feels heavy. It feels lonely. It feels slow. There are days when you will question yourself. Days when you wonder if the sacrifice is worth it. Days when others seem to be advancing faster. But remember this, speed is impressive in the short term. Consistency is powerful in the long term. The future keeps records. It records every early morning, every disciplined decision, every time you chose growth over comfort, every time you remain patient instead of reactive. And one day, those records return as results. Spiritually, endurance is a form of worship. In Islam, patient sabr is repeatedly honored. It is said that Allah is with the patient. That means when you endure with faith, you are never alone. Your struggle is seen. Your tears are counted. Your perseverance is valued. Nothing sincere disappears. There were prophets who waited years, even decades, before seeing the fruit of their efforts. They endured rejection, hardship, and uncertainty. But history does not remember their waiting as weakness. It remembers their endurance as greatness. Your future is being shaped right now, not by your comfort, but by your commitment. Those who quit early never see what could have been. They never experience the harvest because they walked away during planting season. But those who last witness transformation. Endurance builds depth. It builds resilience. It builds unshakable character. When storms come, shallow roots are exposed. Deep roots hold firm. And roots only grow deep through time and resistance. There is something powerful about the person who refuses to disappear. The one who keeps improving, keeps adjusting, Keeps believing, even when applause is absent, because eventually time begins to work in their favor. Opportunities respect consistency. Mastery respects repetition. Success respects stamina. Emotion may push you to rush. Fear may push you to retreat. Doubt may push you to shrink your vision. But endurance pushes you to remain, and remaining is powerful. When you stay long enough, you gain experience others don't have. You develop wisdom others lack. You build strength others never formed because they left too soon. Your future is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built in daily endurance. So when you feel tired, remind yourself why you started. When you feel unseen, remember who sees you. When you feel delayed, trust that timing is not denial. Those who last long enough to grow, long enough to learn, long enough to mature are the ones who eventually rise, because the future always rewards those who endure beyond the season of difficulty and remain standing when others have already walked away. Do not measure your life by today's difficulty. Measure it by tomorrow's potential. Stand up one more time. Push one more step. Try one more round. Because the victory does not belong to the fastest. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit. Keep going. Keep growing. And above all, keep on fighting.